Hey everyone, welcome to Dev Dojo, and this is the first class of our course Spring Boot Microservices. So on this first class, we're going to the project setup. As you can see, I will be using IntelliJ Ultimate version, the latest version of Java, more precisely 1.11.0.1. And for the version of Spring, I will be using the latest version as well, but the latest stable version, not the snapshot. So let's start. Let's click on next. Well, this is the most difficult part of the project. Let's figure out the name. Let's start with academy.devdojo.youtube. Let's change the artifact name to course, and then change the Java version to 11, latest version, Java, packing jar, version 0.01, the snapshot, and the description. Let's say Spring Boot Microservices by Dev Dojo. Click on next. On core, select DevTools, Lombok, configuration processor, and on web, just select web, template engines. Now let's just skip it. Security not now, and SQL, JPA, MySQL, and H2. I don't know if we're going to use it right now. And for the Spring Boot is 2.1.3, not the snapshot versions like 2.1 and 2.2. Clicking next, and now click on finish. Just wait a little bit. IntelliJ is opening. Click on enable alt import. Now we have to set up the database. Well, I'm not going to use the native MySQL installation, but I will use the latest version of MySQL as in a Docker application. So instead of doing the manual installation, I will go with Docker. As you can see, I have the Docker installed. So let's open here on the course. We just have to create the YAML file. So click on File, New File. The name will be stack.yml. We can search on Google. Let's see if we can find somewhere else. Third link. Let's see. This is the latest version. Scroll down. There you go. Just copy all this YAML file. Now let's change this to the way we want. Root password will be devdojo. Let's add also the username root. Now change the port. Actually remove the whole adminer. Let's add this port here. Ports 3306, 3306. We are just mapping and expose this port from Docker. Remove this always, because when we want to stop, we don't want the Docker container to reboot. Let me see what else. Maybe we have to set the volumes. So let's give a name, microservices underscore devdojo column /var/lib /MySQL, and just type here volumes and use the same name. That's all. Let's open the terminal and docker-compose -f stack.yml up. It will download. In my case, I already have. It will initialize the database. So let's go to resources. Let's delete static and template. Let's change the name from application.properties to application.yml. Open. Now we are going to change some configurations here. Actually create some configurations. The first one is the server port. Let's change it to 8080. Second is Spring. Let's give a name to this application. You understand this when we talk about gateway. The name will be course. And let's talk about the JPA. The show SQL false. Let's DDL auto update to update the tables every time you create something new. And on the properties, JPA properties, dialect, org.hibernate.dialect.mysql8 dialect. And maybe let's disable the JMX. I'm not sure if we are going to use in this course. Let's speed up the boot. Data source. Now where it will be, let's start with the URL, jdbc column, mysql column / localhost column 3306. The database is DevDojo, and this is a configuration that I know that you have to do if you try to set up this in a remote environment. So allow public keys retrieval. I had a problem with the CentOS equals to true, and SSL mode equals disable. Now we have to set the username, root, and the password, and DevDojo. Everything that we set here on stack.yaml. As you can see, let me increase the font size. Let's check font. Okay, it's 18, maybe 20. Okay, looks good now. Let's add the data source here on IntelliJ. You could use any application that you want, for example, Workbench. Just set the username and password, test connection, and hit apply. Okay, it will open the console. Just create the database. Create database DevDojo. Control Enter or Command and expand and check the schemas. We don't need that anymore. Now we have the MySQL running on the Docker. We have the configuration on the application YAML, but we don't know if this configuration is working. This is the fun part where we are going to set up the initial setup. Let's create a package. Create a package called endpoint. Sub package called controller. Now create a class. Let's call this class course controller. And inside this package, let's create a sub package called endpoint.service. Now let's create a class. Let's call this class course service. Controller and service. Let's create another package, repository, and let's create a class that's actually interface called course repository. Okay. We don't have the data model yet, so let's create a new Java class, actually package, new Java package model, new class. Let's first create an interface. This interface will be called abstract entity. This abstract entity, I just want one thing. Actually two things. Realizable, long, get ID. This is the only thing that I need on this interface. Now let's create a new class, Java class. Let's call this class course. Well, this is our main class. We are going to make this class implement the abstract entity. Well, there are a few things that we have to do. First, let's create the attribute private long ID. Well, this private long ID will have two things. The first one is the hybrid configuration ID and the generated value. Let's use the strategy identity auto, or generate type identity instead of auto. And now let's use lombok. So we can use first the entity from JPA, Java Persistence, and then getter and setter. And we could use add data, but let's make this simple and having getter and setter. And we builder, and I would like the no args constructor and all args constructor. And I would like also the toString and equals hash code only explicit included true. Now let's just add this equals and a hash code dot include. It will generate the hash code only with the ID. That's what matters for us now. Okay, let's add a few attributes here. Private string title. Oh, let's say that this is not null. Let's give a message. The field title is mandatory. And also add the add column and saying that no label false. Let's go back to abstract entity course, actually to the repository, and we can create here extends paging and sort repository for course on the first part and then long on the second part. We can go to our endpoint. Looks like everything's okay. Let's go to the course sources. And now private final, let's import the course repository. Well, I don't want to auto wire because it's kind of ugly when you start using auto wire on the constructor. So let's make some use of the lombok. It's not a pretty annotation, but it's actually better than the constructor. So just type required args constructor on constructor equals at underscore underscore open parentheses at auto wired, and this will do the trick for us. Now let's annotate with service for the Spring Bean and then slf4j for logs. Everything from lombok. Okay, let's have only one method, public. Well, I advise you, if you are using a different IDE, check if you have a Sonorlint plugin. It will keep scanning your classes and check if you are following the best practices. Now public, iterable, course list, pageable from argspring data domain, return, now course repository dot find all using the pageable. Okay, we have our method list. Let's write something on the log to keep track. Log.info coming from SLF4J. Let's type something, listing all courses. Let's go to controller. We will copy all this part, put it here. There are more things that we have to put on the controller, but let's annotate with REST controller, and then request mapping. Just say v1/admin. Only admins will be able to access this /course. SL4J require Args constructors. Now create private final course service. Course service. You don't have to create the constructor. Now let's create at get mapping. Produces application. Wait, application JSON media type. Org Spring Framework HTTP. Application JSON UTF-8 value. Now let's create a method, public response entity, iterable course. What is course? There you go, course. List, pageable, org Spring Framework data domain, pageable, return new response entity course service dot list pageable, and we have a nice error here. Looks like this is everything that we have to do. Just have to add something here. Variable course list. Looks everything okay. So the final. Okay, let's just put the OK, HTTP status OK. Well, apparently everything is going to compile. Let's try. Just click on debug. Let's check the database. Just refresh. Let's see, the table was created. It means that it's working. Let's create a manually a value. ID is generated. Let's put a title. Spring Boot Microservices by Dev Dojo. Then hit the green arrow or Control Enter. It was committed to the database. Let's go to the Postman. This is my preview that I do before I record the classes. Let's create a request, a GET request, HTTP ://localhost 8080 / our endpoint. We don't have a context on this microservice. Let's see. There you go. We don't have a context. Let me copy this because it's quite small. Okay, there you go. Take a look at this. We don't have a context. The context is empty. When you don't have a context, you are not going to have anything after the 8080. If you had it, would be course / something. But since we don't have it, it will be v1/admin/ course. Exactly like we have here. Let's copy to make sure. If you are getting 404, it means that you have something wrong here. If you click on send, you have the R value. Well, keep writing this is quite difficult. So let's create an environment variable from Postman. You can click here on this I or click on add. This is the Postman. Let's call this Spring Boot Microservices course, and the variable will be called local URL, and the current value will be HTTP localhost 8080. I won't put the slash on at the end. And then we add, let's change it here. Just make sure that you have click on the I, and then replace here by the environmental variable you just created, like this. I will save this, Control S, call list courses. And then I will select the right folder, save. Okay. So now this list courses, local URL is getting half of the boring part. Now we have the same result if we click on send. Well, I think 20 minutes for a class is enough. So this is the first step of our project. See you on the next class. Bye.